Welcome to the Real South Africa Travel and Tourism.
I am Dr. Natasha Blanton.
And I'm Mark Blanton and the owners. And we have amazing packages coming to Johannesburg. Everything we do is 5-star. Everything is private. And what else, Tasha?
Everything we do is exclusive and made just for you.
So all I can say is go to our website, therealsouthafrica.com. We'll see you here.
Make sure you pick up my 2 books that's in Amazon right now. The first one is Passive-Aggressive Racism and the System of White Supremacy. And I talk about in that particular book how the system of white supremacy really runs on our daily lives here in America. In our latest book, 7 Steps to Decolonize the Mind, we go through those steps to try to deprogram you from the system of white supremacy. Make sure you can pick up those books on Amazon.com.
Introducing the African Diaspora News Channel app, your gateway to stories that's overlooked by the corporate mainstream media.
At African Diaspora News Channel, we cover stories that don't receive mainstream attention, and we serve as the voice to the global Black community. We are committed to informing and educating through the power of media, connecting the African diaspora one story at a time.
With our platform, we're helping to end injustice by exposing it.
Join us in standing for excellence in journalism and serving our community. Download the African Diaspora News app today.
Peace, family. My name is Vicki Dillard for African Diaspora News Channel. Thank you so much for tuning in. I do have a little bit of a ritual that as you come in, be sure to come in giving us a big thumbs up. Be sure to like and be sure to share the broadcast. That way it's more likely that other folks will tune in. Yes. And for that, we say thank you so very much. Family, we have an absolutely beautiful broadcast for you today. It's certainly an update in a very, what we can consider to be a long series of absolute important, groundbreaking, pioneering coverage of Chicago and its immigration crisis, its mayoral malfeasance, we'll call it, its government malfeasance there, among many others. Yes, we've been discussing many players there as well. I've discussed over many years the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, the Nation of Islam, and a lot of their work they got going on there. How many of you all know that some of our coverage concerning Barack Obama and other major political players, how many of y'all know that that's the headquarters for those groups? Folks even like Jesse Jackson and others. Yes. How many of you all know that there's a lot at stake when we're dealing with the city of Chicago? And I must say, our foundational Black American family, the Black alternative grassroots folks, you are the one that's helping to lead the way. It is because of the work that you've been doing over the years to make your voice heard in the wake of massive efforts to sabotage you by none other than government officials and the major political party, the Democratic Party. Yes, agents and officials and entities that are directly responsible for actually trying to punish, prevent, frustrate, and foil your work. And it is you that's making the difference. And don't you ever forget it. So even if you're not from Chicago, I want you all to understand that not only should we be learning lessons, excuse me, from the city of Chicago, you need to understand that this is having an effect throughout the country. And this is directly affecting you. Yes. So this is about all of us. This is the powers that shouldn't be. They don't want this pattern that the Black Democrats of Chicago, the Black Chicagoans, period, because many of us ain't no Democrat, many of our people ain't no Democrats over there, right? But Black Chicagoans in general, I should say, they don't want this strategy, this example copied anywhere else. Too bad, so sad. Let me hit my gavel on that. So family, be sure to hit that thumbs up button and share. Now let's get to where we're going. How many of you all know that we've been giving you direct from the ground information from some of our contacts in Chicago. Yes. Well, beloved, I've got some juicy news. I've known this for the past few days. I've been trying to be as quiet as a church mouse. By the way, family, you can watch me live here Tuesday through Thursday. So I've been saving some of the juice for this week to share with you. I'm going to have some direct testimonials, some inside information from our own people, family. So stay tuned for that in the upcoming days. Yes. In the meantime, let me say this before we get ready to show you this very important clip of you all Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson. How many of you all know that this sellout, this bones and biscuit, this bootleg that has not done what he was sent there to do by his very large Black constituency? He's been working for everybody else but those that actually sent him there, those that he's supposed to be loyal to. And we have been giving him that everlasting work, right? Well, Black family, let me say this to you before we hit play on this video. They following our example. Who is they? Everybody. Legacy media, mainstream media. Did y'all hear what I just said right there? I want us to get ready to prepare for you this very important clip. How many of you all know, I did coverage here, letting you all know that Mayor Johnson was getting ready to head to Washington, D.C. because he found out he was under congressional investigation. And as a part of the investigation, they invited him to come there for the hearing. Yes. How many of you all know a few weeks back, we discussed the fact that they asked, and I read you and provided you the letter. Yes, the receipts directly from Congress. And we got it before mainstream media got it. But I had to wait to come to the broadcast to share it with you. When we had it in our head, like, right, shortly after it was issued. Talk Black to me and the rest of them, try to, get out there later. So our people gave us the information, right? Watch this. How many of you all know in that congressional letter, they broke down at least 4 major points of documentation that they wanted the mayor and his office to provide, which included very, very, very important digital information, communications, phone calls, text messages, emails, and all that stuff, right? How many of you all know that I told you that we might find out way more information beyond this immigration crisis stuff? How many of you all know that the type of stuff that they were requested in there might include some other very powerful political forces, political entities, and other topics and subjects that you might need to be privy to? Yes. And so I provided you with nonstop coverage on that and how y'all's mayor there is kind of freaking out a little bit about that. He was slow walking the fact that he was requested to testify and then finally decided to go on in and testify, right? Well, how many of you all know it was very contentious? He thought he was going to go there with a little bit of swag, even though he showed himself to be quite shaken during previous press conferences, right? Well, family, I want to show you this important video clip of a little bit of the hearing. And this clip right now is from one of the CBS Chicago. And again, family, they following our lead, family, because how many of you all know it was us that first report, was one of the first ones to report that Black Chicagoans were calling for the arrest of Mayor Johnson? How many of y'all know that was us? Well, y'all ready for this? Prepare to watch this clip.
Amazed at how tone deaf you have been and how oblivious you've been to the decline of Chicago.
As LaHood hit Johnson on his dismal approval ratings and growing deficit in the city, Johnson tried to make an olive branch moment, asking for partners, not enemies, on Capitol Hill.
We could use your help, and I'm willing to work with you, and I'm glad I had a chance to finally meet you for the first time.
It was Johnson's first time under the bright lights of Washington, and some dizzying attacks on both his style and his substance, like when he couldn't quickly produce the cost of the migrant crisis in Chicago.
You're the mayor. You don't have the math in front of you.
It's 1% of the overall budget over the last 4 years.
That's why you're a failing mayor.
This is why you have 6% approval rating, because you suck at answering questions.
2 things working against the Republican-led committee: improving numbers, both at the border and the crime stats in Chicago.
The city ended 2024 with its lowest homicide rate in 5 years. The city is also safer because of our welcoming city ordinance.
Protecting migrants, he says, make them more likely to help police try to close case files.
Put simply, any actions that amplify fears of deportations make Chicago more dangerous. Those fears cause witnesses and victims to avoid cooperating with police.
Little discussed today the threat committee members made to withhold federal funding from these cities. Instead, a threat of charging the mayors personally.
Mr. Chairman, I don't understand why we haven't been discussing obstruction of justice.
I'm all going to be criminally referring you to the Department of Justice for investigation And as soon as I leave here, these will be going over to Pam Bondi.
Those papers have now been filed with the Department of Justice. Unclear where that effort might go.
Committee stands adjourned.
But how did today go? The mayor compared it a bit to his old job. How do you feel you did, and how did you prepare?
Well, look, it's a lot easier to speak to the values of our city when you believe in them, right? And so, you know, I will say this, being a middle school teacher in the Chicago Public Schools certainly prepares you for this committee.
All right, family. Did you hear that explosive clip? Now, mind you, did you hear the reporter there say that basically what's been little reported is the fact that Mayor Brandon Johnson has received an actual literal criminal referral to the Department of Justice, and that they verified the fact and confirmed that the paperwork was officially signed with the Department of Justice. Yes? How many of you all heard that Representative Anna Paulina Lunks from Florida and also Representative Gary from Alabama specifically talk about obstruction of justice and the documentation? She showed the documentation for the referral, and that the CBS Chicago confirmed that that paperwork for criminal referral has been filed. They went so far as to say they didn't understand. In particular, Gary, Representative Gary out of Alabama, said he wasn't sure why they didn't start going after them personally. And then that's when, after the fact, you saw the clip of the Representative Anna Paulina Lunks say that she has actually filed the paperwork for a criminal referral. Now, how many of you all know that Foundational Black Americans, Black Chicagoans, were the first one to start calling for that, because they're the ones that were originally backstabbed. They were the ones that were originally disrespected. It was their very Black taxpayer dollars. It was their very Black neighborhoods. It was their tangible resources that have been given over to criminals that violated the law to get here and prioritize over them. Yes, don't forget, Mayor Johnson worked to silence and punish Black Chicago for being politically engaged, heavily politically engaged, and holding him accountable. He was embarrassed. And this was embarrassing him, and it was embarrassing the Democrat Party at large, so they sought to silence and punish Black Americans. And they thought they were going to get away with it. They didn't listen to us. Joy Reid, now fired, didn't listen to us. The CNN folks didn't listen to us. Fox News didn't listen to us like they should, but shout out to Fox News. They did do more segments on this, to be honest with you, than any other network. I got to say that part. Whatever the agenda, they still gave greater voice to us than all of the other major cable networks and legacy media. And now the Democrats are crying a river, but you refuse to listen to those that were of you the first time. It's official. And we were the ones that instigated it first. We were the ones that started that first. And they're listening to us and they're following our lead because we are tired of being backstabbed. We are tired of you prioritizing illegal immigrants. We're tired of you making sure that their records are cleared by making sure they have legal status when you don't even make sure that Foundational Black Americans' records are cleared. You don't make sure that those in our community that were convicted of or charged with or pled to petty crimes, nonviolent crimes that had nothing to do with hardly anybody else, you didn't make sure that their records are clear so they can make sure that they can get government resources, get good housing and good jobs. Talk black to me, somebody. Now, as I told you all before, I'm going to be doing some follow-up stuff on this, so be sure to stay tuned. You all know I'm gonna get you the direct stuff on this, because you know we're gonna cover Chicago because it is so consequential to the movement of reparations, to the movement of tangibles, whatever you want to call it, meaning something physical for our Black vote, substantive for our vote, substantive for Black citizens of these United States of America, whatever you want to call it. I'm going to hear directly, but you're going to hear information and testimony from those that are directly on the ground. So stay tuned for that. Yes. Now, did you notice in this clip that Republican Illinois representative. He was out of the same state as Mayor Brandon Johnson of Chicago. One of his own humiliated him during the hearing, Mr. Darren LaHood, right? He's the Republican out of the 16th district, I believe. Remember, he even said, you know, he was shocked at just how tone deaf and oblivious Mayor Johnson is to the decline of Chicago. Now, Mayor Johnson is sitting there trying to tout the fact that crime is down, homicide is down lower than it's ever been over the past 5 years, but also what's down is his rating at 6%. Somebody say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now, when you're usually dealing with the percentage of approval ratings of a politician, it's always based on 100 points, right? Well, Mayor Johnson is at, watch this, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6% approval rating. I'm going to say it again. Mayor Johnson has a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6% approval rating. Somebody say that's itty bitty. Somebody say that's small. Somebody say that's little. And that's not just from white folks. That's overwhelmingly from your black constituents because you putting everybody before us. Now, while he's sitting there talking about the homicide rate being down, don't forget that this is the same Mayor Johnson that's disrespected and ignored and hadn't done what he needs to do to help those black educators out there in Chicago. They're the ones that's been dealing with the youth and dealing with the streets to keep crime down. Let me hit the gavel on that. The very ones he's been ducking and dodging and hadn't been given a proper attention to. How many of you all have been seeing my coverage? I did some interviews on my channel at VickiDillard.tv. You can subscribe there as well. Where I was talking about how Mayor Johnson has been sitting in the back of the bus in important and proper support of those black teachers and superintendents there. They're the ones that's been doing the work to prevent crime and stuff. That's a different story. We'll get on that later. I want to add one more thing to this. So in addition to that explosive video, if you're just coming in, watch this whole video. And by the way, family, don't forget to tune in to watch my live videos through my live broadcast Tuesday through Thursday, 2 p.m. Eastern. And also I do international coverage. So look for that as well. Okay, watch this. Before I show this other article I want to read to you from, because most people ain't talking about this article that I'm getting ready to tell you about. I'm letting Congress know we're putting this out there in the eco space because I want my people there to have as much ammunition as possible. And the reason we're doing this is because you're going to do what we tell you to do, Mr. Johnson, or you won't be there. The fact that Representative Darren LaHood, who is a Republican congressman, specifically told him, sir, I can't believe how tone deaf you are to our city. I can't believe how oblivious you are to the decline of Chicago. See, when you're dealing with people like him and other Democrats that are absolutely delusional, like a lot of Democrats that's out here. Remember before Joy was, when Joy was let go of MSNBC right around the time, I think it's right before she was fired. Remember, she was out there talking about how Kamala ran a flawless campaign. The Democrats are still in delusion. Like, what do? When you see somebody that you know is out of their mind, you don't sit there and try to reason with them. You just smile and just walk past them. Because you know that something is wrong and that logic and regular conversation won't do for them. You don't even try to engage them like a normal human being. This is where the Democrats are at large. They out there dancing. They out there pretending that they're like cartoons and stuff. Did y'all see that from those the female AOC and them coming out there? I forget what them little cartoon things are. They coming out there acting like they little superstar. I mean, I don't even know what the things are. Them little avatars. What is it, y'all? I can't even read the comments right now, but whatever it is, they was acting like it. Like I was devastated. Like I'm like, this is not. Am I on earth? They out there saying some of the craziest, doing some of the craziest things. They out there cussing out Elon Musk. I'm all about the life of cussing out for reparations with action. You got Miss Jasmine Crockett out there talking about her ancestors built this ML, but she don't have no reparations bill. They want you to still talk about HR 40 or some form of a reparation study that's been on the table since the 80s. That's delusion. What do we do? We can't be doing IABs. No, we don't do delusion. We just got to smile and keep walking past you. We got to do a different strategy because something is wrong in the upper region of your head, of your body. Now, remember, one of the other things that you saw there in the clip that came up during the hearing was the fact that Chicago's deficit, right? Well, let me tell y'all something. How many of you all know, and I believe Brother Phil talked about this. I didn't get to watch the whole broadcast, but I could have sworn I saw a theme of something he did recently about the fact that the Democrats was busted, put all kind of billions for immigration. Could that be part of the deficit issue in Chicago? That a lot of the Democrat sanctuary city mayors and stuff was found, the records are showing that they spending billions of dollars, which we told y'all they were spending crazy money for the illegals, criminals. But when there's receipts that come out, and when there are more receipts than we thought was out there, it just takes what we've been saying for a long time to the next level. That all came out, right? What else came out? Y'all ready for this? I won't be long, but I will be strong. Y'all hit that thumbs up button, share. Watch this. Not only did he get a criminal referral, and it's official that Mayor Johnson has a criminal referral. Y'all saw the documentation. And you heard CBS Chicago confirm that the paperwork has been filed. Watch this. They're talking about withholding federal funds. Who's going to be suffering from federal if the federal funds are cut on the federal level? Who's going to be suffering? Is it going to be Brandon Johnson? Because don't forget, I did the story here on Brandon Johnson. You know, folks are providing all kinds of gifts to his office that he got in a storage room somewhere. Size 14 shoes and stuff. How many of y'all saw that? And he denied letting a covert, a government agency come in there to check all this out. How many of y'all know they found whiskey and stuff? What in the hell? How many of y'all know they found little purses and stuff, high-end purses, and we don't know what else is in there? How for all we know, inside the purses is some documents. For all we know, inside the purse might be an anonymous phone or something. We don't know that. It might be an iPad or a laptop and one of those gifts that he don't want you to see. But some information that you all need to know about. If y'all don't know what I'm talking about, go just put in the search engine here. Everything I done did on Chicago. And some of my colleagues. You'll get a good education. Back to back to back. It's important that you know this stuff. Vicki, where are you going with this? So we had to break that news, and we had to say they listened to us because we're the first ones to start talking about it, right? And they're following our leads. And we want you all to let Mr. Brandon Johnson know that if he doesn't do and work for the people, we're not going to let up either. We're going to help to hold him accountable. This is not about revenge. This is about accountability. I said, this is not about revenge, sir. This is about accountability. We are tired of the sellouts and the bootlets and the backstabbers. Can we pull up this article? Can the team pull up this article for me? I'm going to show y'all something. This has been out a few days, but very few people have been talking about this. I'm trying to give the powers that be extra things to look into and to Brandon Johnson do what the Black Chicagoans tell him to do. Well, baby, we're going to pile on, and we just getting started. I have an article here. Can you all see the article? I'm going to start reading. Hopefully you can see it. Like I said, I'm not able to see the thing right now because I want to read this to you. Watch this, y'all. In this article, this is headlined, Y'all ready for this? Y'all ain't ready for this. I hope y'all ready for this. Johnson Lightfoot accused of impeding Inspector General's investigation. This came out right before Valentine's Day, and very few people have been talking about it. But how many of y'all know we're going to keep talking about this kind of stuff? We're going to continue to talk about the malfeasance. Watch this. I'm going to say it again. Johnson Lightfoot. How many of y'all remember who Lightfoot is? Y'all done forgot Lightfoot. Chicago been going through so much hell, you forgot just how horrible it was with your previous mayor. How many of y'all remember the previous mayor, Miss Lightfoot? She was out there doing the most, wasn't she? Well, Miss Lightfoot, the former Chicago mayor, watch this. This headline says Johnson and Lightfoot are accused of impeding Inspector General's investigation. Did y'all know that? So in addition to the criminal referral he now has from this congressional hearing, this federal hearing, in addition to one of the representatives out of Alabama saying that he doesn't understand why the other mayors there weren't charged personally with obstruction of justice and so forth on the federal level. Watch this. Keep this in mind also. So you all should be able to see it now. Watch this. Y'all see the headline again. Johnson Lightfoot accused of impeding Inspector General's investigation. Watch what it says. The investigative roadblocks outlined by Inspector General Deborah Witzberg included demands, y'all listen, by the law department to sit in on sensitive interviews that might embarrass the mayor and delaying the release of sensitive documents. Y'all better talk black to me. Listen, quickly. I'm not going to read all of this. Mayor Brandon Johnson and his predecessor, Lori Lightfoot, were accused Thursday of impeding the work of Chicago's Inspector General by withholding documents, selectively enforcing subpoenas, and demanding to have the law department sit in on interviews that, quote, risk embarrassment to the mayor. What else is going on in Chicago? The investigative roadblocks outlined by the Inspector General Deborah Witzberg include picking and choosing which subpoenas to comply with and withholding or unreasonably delaying the release of sensitive information, sensitive documents, such as emails and text messages. Y'all see that? Did y'all see that? This is powerful. It goes on to talk about in the memo that the city council released Thursday, cited at least 10 investigations since her appointment in April 2022 when the law department demanded to attend investigative interviews. And it talks about the vast majority of those investigations and what they involved and so forth and so on. Family, y'all's mayor out there might be in very big trouble. More than, way beyond, is my point, way beyond, what's the word I'm looking for? Way beyond this immigration issue. Are y'all hearing me today? I said way beyond the immigration issue. Now, thank you all so much for putting that link up. I want you all, when you get a chance, to look into that, because I'm going to stop now. I brought that up because this implicates the previous mayor, Lori Lightfoot. And this is involving things that's beyond even the scope of immigration. I want you all to stay on top of it. I want you all to stay tuned in the upcoming days, because I'm going to be giving you on the ground testimonials and insights from our people on the ground there. But family, I want to say this is because of you. We were the first ones that called for this, and now it's moving in our direction. And again, this is not about revenge on the Democrats. This is not about revenge on the mayor. This is about accountability. And that we are not here to high five you and to be your friend and to vote for you just for giggles. Our people are actually suffering. Black folks' health is affected because of the lack of tangibles and the misappropriation of funds there. Their homes, their domestic lives are messed up. Some people don't have roofs over their heads because they've lost home due to foreclosure and eviction. Some folks have lost their cars because of these types of things. Some folks don't get the types of jobs with the necessary benefits and insurance and flexibility that they need to provide for their families because of this. These things have consequences for the well-being of our Black families, and we're going to fight for our families. Thank you so much for tuning in. Shout out to those of you that's doing the work on the ground. I got so much more to say. You can tell I can't wait to share with you some of that stuff, but I'm trying to hold some of this in. But I want you all to know that your previous mayor, Lord Lightfoot, is in trouble now. And y'all's mayor is in trouble for more than just this immigration stuff, which I suspect was suspected early on was going to be the case, especially when they started to show a lot of concern and start to slow walk compliance with some of the documentation and the communication that the Congress was requesting prior to his hearing. We're going to see what comes out of this. But it's up to us to keep our foot on the gas because we're not playing any games. We're not taking sides. We're taking over. Let me hit the gavel on that. Talk black to me, somebody. My name is Vicki Dillard, beloved. Don't forget to tune in tonight for Brother Phil's live at 8 p.m. Eastern. Be sure also, family, to check out my other colleagues' commentary here. It's very important because you don't know what you might miss. We do national and international news. It's so important. Yes. And I can't wait to see you Tuesday through Thursday, 2 p.m. Eastern, right here on African Diaspora News Channel. I can't wait to see you again.